Hey everyone, Pro Engineering here, and once again we're going to do some work on the CW01 chassis. This particular upgrade is that irritating slap when you accelerate. So let's take a look at a very common fix to that. I did this quite some time ago when I saw someone on Tamiya Club do it. What was done was a notch was cut out in the transmission over here, and a shock absorber is installed. In this case here, I don't know how well you can see it, this is an old pogo stick shock from, I think it's a, I don't know what it is, TL01 I think it was. And the shock bolts to the crossbar that goes through the transmission shaft here, and hopefully how well you can see it, not well at all, you can kind of see it right there. Bolts to the back side of the chassis with a Tamiya U-bracket or something creative that you may have figured out, and that dramatically reduces, if not eliminates, the slap when you accelerate. And using the floating rigid rear axle slots here, the transmission now has resistance when it accelerates and kind of tilts backwards. Okay. So you can see it still has plenty of free range, and most importantly, it has the ability to, if I can do this here, has the ability to do this, which is very important to anybody that own a Grasshopper and know that it doesn't have the ability to tilt the rear axle, and it does dramatically decrease road handling off-road. So what I did is I kind of took that and said, you know, that's great, but I just put this Lunchbox together, and I really don't want to chop up the transmission. I don't like doing that. Wherever I can minimize the number of holes I put in something that I just paid money for, I try and do. So I had just created the transmission brace for the Hornet, which is, I think, episode 1 I go over that. And I said, God, that'd be really good if I could do that to the Lunchbox. And so I did. What's funny about this upgrade here is this geometry right here is pulled straight off of the Hornet one because this transmission is the Hornet one. So it's kind of how I did it. This piece here is a very, very hard plastic that I printed at the office. So this is not what you're going to get. You're going to get a nylon one, which is much more durable. But much like a number of other of the CW01 parts that I bring in, every time I get a batch, they're sold before I can even do a video. So I said, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to do the video. So I'm going to show you how to install this, and I'll show you how it works. Premise is pretty simple. It's installed and basically cups the transmission. There are no cuts at all done to the transmission. The transmission stays completely sound. You drill 2 holes right here, and this is pretty easy because when you install this piece here, it wedges itself onto this edge lip and locks itself in place, and you just drill a couple of holes, and you can either tap the nylon piece and thread into it. What this does, much like the shock absorber on the Midnight Pumpkin, this one will prevent the transmission from tilting up when you accelerate and hitting the transmission, thusly not getting that irritating click. More importantly, much like the Midnight Pumpkin, you still retain 100% of your transmission articulation. Let's try and do this a little bit better here. There we go. So all articulation is still there. You've lost nothing. But one of the things that always irritated me about the CW01 chassis is with the stock shocks or with these upgraded Tamiya units, every time you accelerated, the motor whacked the rear shock absorber. Now, if I can get a shot of this here, it is super close to it. It's about 1.5 millimeters away, but now it never hits the shock absorber ever again. Yay, finally. Whereas this guy here, every acceleration, it whacks the shock. Okay, a little bit of a nuisance for me. Let's take a look at how you install this. What I need access to is this plate right here. So I'm going to unscrew this cross member here with 3 screws, unscrew these 4 screws there, and beneath the cross member here you've got 1, 2, 3 screws that hold the front of this, and it'll come straight off. the transmission will stay put because it is held into these brackets here, which hold the transmission into place, and that's not going to bother anything. So this is actually a pretty simple installation. To those of you whose eyes are looking over here, we'll get to that in a future video. The plate is off, and that was, I think, as many as, what is that? That's 9 screws? 10 screws. I think it's 10 screws. So super easy to get this plate off here. This piece here, which I'm touting so much, is probably this amazing part, but actually it really couldn't be simpler. The way it's designed is this notch here is in the center of this transmission leading edge. When you install this here, you can see it fits snugly between these two ribs, and this leading edge here will slot itself into this notch. You put it in place here. So like mark it with a spudger or something. If you don't have one of those, maybe a silver paint pen, you can make it so you can just know where the holes are. Drill the holes out. Now this one here, I did tap this piece. It's really not necessary. This is a prototype, and the ones that you'll be receiving are made out of nylon. So a self-tapping Tamiya JIS screw will tap right into these, no problem, and lock it into place. Okay. Please clean the holes out first. Oftentimes they'll be full of the residual powder from Shapeways, and you want to make sure that the hole doesn't have any of that, because that'll reduce the diameter and potentially give you an issue with cracking. I have never run into it before, but I always strongly recommend that you clean the holes out prior to trying to tap any of these holes. All right, once you screw this in here, I think the hardest part of this whole operation is putting it back in. So basically you're going to have to just... I'm sorry, did I say that was hard? I did, didn't I? Anyway, that was a lie. The hardest part's going to be drilling the holes. So once you've got that in there, put the screws back, and you are done. And that's it. I think it's a pretty simple installation. The part is super cheap, and most importantly, it does come in many colors. So if you've got, you know, this really neat red or white CW01, and that's that. It's a pretty simple installation. The part is super basic and very inexpensive. It also comes in many different colors, so if you do have one of those red or white CW01 chassis, or even the blue special one, not a problem. You have the right part to match and look like a champ in the truck. It's again, really easy to install. Works as good, if not better, than this one here, because this one I will still hear it kind of slap every now and then under really hard acceleration. This guy is silent. Please subscribe. I've got so many more things to cover on these. Again, I think one of my favorite ones is going to be that versus that. So yeah, we're going to talk about double wishbone front suspension for the CW01 chassis. Those of you who have a fetish for lights, this right here, yeah, that's not painted. This turn signal here, yeah, that's a turn signal. These taillights, yeah, they're missing. I've got a good one coming up soon for that. If you like Midnight Pumpkins, you can tell that is not... Stop being blurry. Thank you. That is not the factory taillight. And this sucker looks way worse than the production model. This is one of my prototypes here. Oh, did I mention that this lights up? Yeah, it lights up. That's pretty sweet. Does anybody want that back? Yeah, that's coming up also. So as you can tell, I have, I have a lot of stuff to show. I really hope you guys liked it. I have a ball making these parts. I really hope you enjoy using them. I do have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Both are AmPro Engineering. At the end of this video, you are going to see the website for my Shapeways storefront. There is a Midnight Pumpkin and there is a Lunchbox section in the store, but please note that there's also a CW01 section, so you don't need either of these vehicles, you can have the Unimog or you can have the Mitsubishi Pajero. No, that's not what they call it now. What do they call it? Montero. They call it the Montero now. That's all there. And what else am I forgetting? Ah, yes, I have to also give a shout out to Blue Pinto for allowing me to use all of their music in my videos. There is a link to their Facebook page at the end of this video as well. Thank you all again, and I'll see you next time.